And I am going to ask you all, as we prepare for this kind of sensory science experiment, to do whatever it is that helps your nervous system to settle into a practice. So that might be looking in 360-degree radius. It might be stretching, yawning, making some sounds. You're all on mute, so don't be shy. An audible exhale, a humming, an exasperated exhale. And it might even involve some shaking or kind of settling in to that position that will sustain you in comfort, but also invites a degree of alertedness. And as the sound fades, the invitation is to also let the eyelids shut and to drop inward, to move from the outer world to the inner world by way of noticing breath, maybe the place where it enters and exits the body, the depth and fluidity of breath, noticing how the body is responding to breath, whether or not there's a softness and opening to the inhalation, or if maybe there is some constriction, which is oftentimes an indication that there is some distraction. And we'll begin this practice by first just bringing some sensory awareness to breath itself. Breath being your constant companion and your greatest ally. I want you to get intimately connected with your breath in this moment. I want you to think about this connection artistically. So you might imagine, based upon the temperature of the inhale, whether or not there's a color that rides on the breath as it enters the body, associated with warmth or oxygenation. And you might get curious about whether or not that color changes as it travels through the respiratory system. Perhaps as it moves back out of the body at quite possibly a cooler temperature. Consider whether or not there is a texture to this breath, a sensation. And search your vocabulary to see if there are adjectives you might use to describe it. Is it fluid? Is there a jagged nature to it? Does it run smoothly? Or does it catch in certain places, certain ways? Is there a weight to your breath? Is there a pulling or a pulsing? An opening, a closing? As if you could paint in your mind's eye this breath-body exchange. See it, sense it. And know that throughout the rest of the practice, if ever what you're experiencing, what you're attending to feels like too much, you can come right back to this breath. with every inhale, an opportunity to move towards life force renewal. And with every exhale, an opportunity to let go of something that might otherwise feel intolerable, unpleasant. So we'll move deeper into the practice now by bringing awareness to the tips of your toes. And imagining your attentional abilities almost like a metal detector that you could sweep up and over the body from the toes to the ankles, lower legs. And as you move this attentional detector upward, just notice where you're holding emotional energy or where you're experiencing sensory stimulation. As you go, in the beginning, you might just acknowledge what you're feeling as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Moving awareness strategically upward, pausing to acknowledge the flavor, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Whenever you bump up against energetic feedback, emotion, energy in motion. And as you reach the top of the body, you might choose to scan back down, maybe the other side of the body, or maybe just back through these main stages. Ultimately landing on any one area where you are confident something is going on, some sort of sensory experience, some sort of energetic experience. And when you land the attention there, I want you to pull out your metaphorical paintbrush and I want you to outline where in the body you are feeling what you're feeling. And as you outline it, consider the shape. Consider whether or not the shape is stagnant or if there is movement. Whether or not you can actually box this thing in, or if there's maybe a nerve quality to it, a way in which it reaches out, swirls, radiates, permeates the boundaries. Might the mind give this sensation a color or colors. If you were to color it in, would it be a solid? Or might there be some transparency or some texture, some pattern that the paintbrush portrays? When we hone in on an experience, there are only four things that can happen. The emotion will either become more intense, it will become less intense, it will change. The energetic expression will change, or it will disappear. Stay here with whatever you are feeling, continuing to consider how you would describe it if you didn't have this vocabulary of emotions, anxiety, sadness, but instead just a word bank of adjectives, sensations. And as you investigate, notice what's happening in relationship to your breath. You might have unconsciously begun to hold the breath, to breathe more shallowly. If the breath has remained calm, consistent, supportive, you know that you are experiencing what we call equanimity. This calm awareness of whatever is happening inside of you. With enough distance between you and it to remain in a position of relative control. As we sit in this, the mind will think, because that's what minds do. Your job is just to notice if the stories it tells evoke any other emotional, energetic expression. And if they do, let the thoughts be like clouds in the sky. You notice them, but then return your gaze to the earth, the body. The more tangible experience. And style it, flavor it. With equanimity and openness. Remembering always that feelings aren't facts. You are not your feelings. feelings are not you. Instead, they are just messengers. Messengers meant to alert you to your needs. So at the close of this practice, I want you to just consider for a moment what needs might be driving these felt experiences. The needs could be very concrete, like the need for a different posture so as to avoid that tension that builds up in the lower back. Or the needs might be a little bit more esoteric. That tightness in the chest is alerting you to the need for productivity today. And maybe the thoughts that keep gravitating towards what's coming next. No matter where you are in the practice, it's fine. But bring your attention now back to the place where breath is entering and exiting the body. Like a revolving door between inner and outer worlds. Invite your attention back outward as you become aware of the temperature of air against your skin, your cheeks, the backs of your hands. As you become aware of the quality of the surface beneath you, the earth underneath your feet, the couch beneath your bottom. We'll take a nice deep inhale together, really just illuminating all that is just as it is. And as you exhale, allow that chin to dip towards the chest. Bowing in honor of the practice of this fascinating nervous system response to thoughts and needs, and of each other. Because without Sangha, many of us struggle to make time for practices like these. When you're ready, the eyes can open, the gaze might shift back towards the screen.